Inside action, innovate. The Master Series elevates.
In this session of the Master Series, Sandra, Larrea, and Brian Garity explored how AI agents are reshaping modern finance and operations through intelligent, action-driven experiences embedded directly into ERP systems. They walked through how AI agents and Copilot moved beyond insights to automate reconciliations, manage supplier communications, analyze financial variances, and execute real operational actions securely and at scale. Attendees also saw how agentic capabilities enabled organizations to streamline core finance and supply chain workflows while improving speed, accuracy, and decision-making. This session was ideal for finance, operations, and IT leaders looking to modernize ERP processes and unlock new efficiencies with AI-powered agents. Let's get into it.
I'm really thrilled to be here to be speaking about the question that's on everyone's mind. How are businesses using AI to transform processes and drive impact? And how are we, Microsoft, bringing that to our customers? AI is clearly shifting businesses and processes. So like many of you, I have been astonished by the rapid pace of advancements in AI and the seemingly endless breadth of possibilities. But what's consistently emerged clearly is that AI will change every aspect of business, the way we work, how we handle processes, and in process, reshaping orgs and even industries. And when it comes to things like ERP or CRM, we are ripe for this transformation, especially on the ERP front. There's been a lot of talk and chatter. I've seen a lot on LinkedIn, some really great articles about, well, does agents, by bringing all these agents to life, do we still need an ERP? Yes, you do. There is still activity, business rules, logic, tax, compliance that is happening in that ERP. The beauty of what Microsoft brings is we already have an agentic framework that's part of our ERP. But ERP is not going away. CRM is not going away. But what you might see is a different UI, a different way to interact that becomes more efficient and more productive for your users. So Copilot and agents. This might be redundant, but I always do like to just sort of level set. We have copilots, we have agents. You will probably hear me today use them interchangeably, but really there is a difference. Copilot it's one-to-one. It's your sidecar. It's your assistant. So it's very personal to you in the applications that you're in. Now, agents, though, that's a bit different. Agents can be one-to-many. So agents will rely on copilots, but an agent might be something like logging time that other users can also use. So there is a difference, but they do come together and work together as well. Now, when we look at the dynamic solution and our vision here at Microsoft for an agentic ERP, we start on the bottom with all the main business process pillars. As I mentioned, we still need an ERP. There is still logic and rules, capabilities that are still happening down in the ERP. And we have continued to innovate on our solution since going to the cloud in 2016. I was just on a call with our finance engineering team, and wow, do we have some great things coming in the future. We just continue to add that value to the product. But it's what we're doing on top of it, adding the copilots. And now with the MCP server, the agentic capability, it's truly a differentiator. So for those of you who are on Dynamics 365, awesome choice. You have this appreciating asset that just is continuing to bring you innovations. So where are we going with the product? Well, for finance, we really feel we're at the forefront of transforming how organizations achieve financial excellence in a rapidly changing world. As I aged myself earlier on, I am a former controller. I came out of manufacturing a very long time ago. And when I think back to the weeds of data, papers and papers of general ledger reports that now I could use an agent to go through and reconcile, it's an amazing world that we have. And that's what Microsoft's bringing. We're investing in capabilities that elevate financial planning and performance. Our business performance suite is integrating analytics, planning, and insights into one extensible platform, helping our organizations to make informed decisions with speed and precision. And at the same time, we're enhancing core financial capabilities, things like our touchless AP invoicing, automation that is really helping your users be more efficient. And finally, we are really going to the next level with our globalization studio. We're expanding localization and compliance features, making it easier for businesses to meet regional requirements and operate seamlessly across borders. So what have we done? Well, first and foremost, we have led the charge on AI. We have had AI in our solutions for several years. We started with our finance insights, customer payment predictions, cash flow forecasting, intelligent budget proposals. By incorporating machine learning models and AI, we have really transformed the capabilities for your collection folks to actually know what customer, what invoices should they focus on. And from a cash flow forecasting, we have an amazing treasury management workspace that can also bring in data from other systems. And then using AI and machine learning, we're predicting the cash flow. So we started down this journey several years ago. When it comes to AP, this has been another key area for us. Many of you on the phone may use our invoice capture, where we're using our own technology within our Power Platform for intelligent optical character recognition, OCR. Your vendors can email a PDF document into the tool. It'll read it, see if it meets a threshold for matching, and then send it on to the ERP solution. But we didn't stop there. We also continued with automation on the AP side, where we have processes that run in the background to do that three-way matching for you. And let me tell you, there's probably an agent coming along the way too, as well in this process. Business performance analytics, as I mentioned, this is a powerful solution. It's an area we've continued to transform and innovate on. In today's evolving business environment, the ability to use data for informed decision making is important. This wonderful tool is built on the data lake. It brings you two experiences, Excel and Power BI. And what's also beautiful about it, when I show you our finance agents later, you're going to realize they can all connect together. So you can use all of these amazing tools to do all of your performance and analytics. We didn't stop there. We also brought in business performance planning. We listened to our customers several years ago. Our budgeting and forecasting within the core solution, it's okay for an ERP solution, but we really needed an XP&A solution. So once again, leveraging our tool set within Power Platform and also incorporating AI, we have a very advanced tool set to help you with your forecasting capabilities that you need. Through the power of Dataverse, you can use data flows and Microsoft Power Platform to eliminate manual processes and achieve optimal efficiency for your organization. All right, so Copilots. We have delivered Copilot experiences within many, in fact, all of our dynamic solutions. On here, you'll see some Copilot capabilities that are in our demand planning solution, within purchase orders, collections coordinator. You can do natural language inventory searches, product help, as well as risk assessments in our project operations solution, connected field service, and sales insights. Copilots delivered for you in the solution. All right, well, I can't always just talk about finance. What are we doing in supply chain? Well, supply chain is the same thing. We are also working very hard to continuously innovate. First and foremost, we're transforming supply chain management with Copilot and AI innovation, bringing generative AI into the heart of the operations to help you drive smarter decisions and automate complex tasks. Next, we're strengthening inventory and logistics, helping businesses gain greater visibility and improve resiliency across their supply chain. For manufacturing and asset management, we've delivered tools to optimize processes, ensuring compliance to help you maximize productivity so that organizations can operate more effectively. In planning, we delivered an advanced demand forecasting solution and resource optimization capabilities, ensuring that businesses can align supply with demand faster and more accurately. And coming soon, we're investing in procurement, providing new tools to enhance supplier collaboration and build stronger, more adaptive supply chains. So where is AI incorporated in some of this? Well, in our demand planning solution, it's absolutely leveraging AI for You can manually select forecast models, or you can let AI automatically select the best model based on your data set. By easily tailoring the forecast inputs, users can plan with confidence using a guided no-code approach, and you can simulate the impacts of the changing forecast models before application. Key differentiator of this solution, too, is that the ease in which your planners can collaborate within teams across your stakeholders to gain consensus on the demand plan, resulting in faster and more accurate planning cycles. Process mining. This is a great solution as well. This application is a powerful tool designed to help organizations visually analyze and optimize their business processes. By extracting event data from your various systems, it'll help visualize the true flow of a process, allowing you to visually identify inefficiencies and bottlenecks. The app provides detailed insights into process performance, enabling your users to compare different processes, determine root causes, and monitor key performance indicators. And lastly, we can't forget our frontline workers. This is a great example, Copilot in our WMS solution, bringing information directly to the frontline workers. Within the Copilot in warehouse management, it enhances the operations by providing AI-driven insights directly on the mobile app workload screen. It generates natural language summaries of work headers, pick lines, receiving lines, helping workers understand their daily tasks. And then we get to the agents. As I said, we have copilots and we have agents. And as you can see, as the slide is moving through, we have delivered as well agents within Dynamics across the modules, both supply chain, finance, and we're also going to take a look today at our M365 Copilot finance agents. We're going to look at today the supplier communications agent. I really like this agent. It's really what it's trying to do, and we'll show it to you, is remove the noise and some of the chaos that our procurement professionals face every day. Imagine having an agent that can weed through the many emails that are coming in and alerting you only to those things that need changes, that truly need your attention to make a decision on. Or what if you had an agent that could also look at delayed order lines and create emails for you to send to your vendors? That would save a lot of time for your procurement professionals. And then we have the account reconciliation agent which is within D365 Finance. In the older versions of Dynamics, to do reconciliation between your subledger and ledger, you had to run these really old SSRS reports. And then you had to once again look through thousands of lines of transactions to really find out why you might be out of balance. Well, now we have a wonderful agent that will be doing that in the background for you. And this is also another area, as of our version 4.6, we've even added more capabilities to help you in that process flow. All in all, just helping you to speed up your month-end close. And as I mentioned, finance agents and Microsoft 365. These are part of your Microsoft 365 entitlements for if you have Copilot. These finance agents can be enabled today, and you can start using them as long as you have those licenses. The beauty of these agents is they already connect to D365, but we also have connectors to other solutions like SAP, different versions of SAP, but you can always use Copilot Studio to customize and connect to any of your financial solutions. So what do these include? Well, we're going to talk today about reconciliation. So this almost is a second step to the account reconciliation agent. Often, as I mentioned, you might have lots of data that you now need to do a reconciliation for. Think of like an intercompany type example, or maybe you even have multiple systems and you need to now reconcile your due to, due from. The agent is amazing at how fast it can do that. You can create templates. You can even send the whole process through Outlook to a address for your agent to do that. Planning and analysis, understanding variances. The variance analysis agent also can help you analyze very quickly a subset of raw data that maybe you built some type of a P&L or report on. So rather than your finance professional having to once again go dig, what market, what product type, why do I have this variance? You can have an agent just by prompting it properly, you can get that information. It'll also help you build a really nice executive report that you can very quickly send up to your leadership. Then we have our quote to cash. I love this one. This one is an Outlook-based capability where the agent can once again connect to D365, and it not only can help you create the reminder, but it'll actually reach into Dynamics and PDF the invoices. I think that's amazing. We'll show that in just a moment. And lastly, today I'll show you the data preparation agent. I was showing this to a customer this morning. They loved it because they were saying actually, as they're continuing to migrate business units onto Dynamics, they're like, wow, we could use a tool to help us just maybe put a prefix in front of a certain field. And I really quickly showed them how the preparation agent can do that. So imagine even prior to you using the reconciliation agent, maybe you want to normalize and clean up your data. And that's what you can do with this agent. All right, so with that, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's go take a look. All right, so I'm going to start within D365. You all should see my screen, probably familiar to many of you. So this is my main dashboard. And one of the very first Copilots that you have and you can enable, you'll see is just my Copilot sidecar here on the right. And earlier, before we started, I asked it a simple question. I just said, hey, does D365 Finance handle multiple ledgers? And yes, it does. You can point this Copilot to your own internal data, where you can even ask substitution for items. You can get to that natural language query for your inventory search. Super, super powerful here by using your sidecar that's there for you. All right, but let's go look at, we have a Copilot for confirming purchase orders with changes. In many of the forms now in Dynamics, you're going to see this Copilot summary up at the top, really quickly bringing you insights. So in this case, in this workspace, this is letting me know if I have any impactful purchase order changes. What might be impactful? Well, in my case right here, I have a purchase order where it looks like they've changed the quantity. But what does that mean downstream? So the high impact that I have here is that that's going to impact production orders. So this is bringing that information very quickly to me as the procurement professional. What can I do from here? I could quickly send a Teams message, or I could send a quick email even to the vendor to find out why that quantity was changed. Easy peasy. Another Copilot that we have is our collections coordinator workspace. Thinking back to your collection folks, when they're working on their day-to-day, this is a really wonderful workspace where at the top half of the form, I see what in my day I call the tickler list, where these are the activities and tasks I need to work on. Bottom left, it's showing me highest balances for my customers and age balances. But over here, let's take a look at Cave Wholesalers. Maybe I want to dig a little bit deeper. So as I click into Cave Wholesalers, you're going to start to see that once again, I get a nice summary by Copilot. And Copilot's going to tell me that, well, we haven't done any invoices in the past 6 months. And probably that's because they are significantly past due. As you can see here, the customer has a significant value that's over $151,000, 180 days. Now, what again can I do from here? Well, I could just create a quick reminder email as well. This will open up my Outlook and I can use Copilot to send a note. Now, what if I could take that a little bit further? Right now I'm in Outlook. Remember I told you we had a finance agent that can help with cash collections. I also like this agent because if you even just think of the upstream salesperson, maybe they're trying to put an order in and it goes on hold. And rather than reaching out, calling a bunch of people in credit and collections, they could actually just open up Outlook and they can access a finance agent. This finance agent is connecting to Dynamics. So remember what you just saw, the $151,000 past due. You'll see it's connected and it's telling me this address is tied to Cave Wholesalers. So that's the contact that is on Cave Wholesales in my system. And if I click on Cave Wholesales now, you'll see my agent is bringing me that same information that I saw in the collection coordinator workspace. Here's the ooh-ah moment though. It also will PDF the invoices. Imagine how much time this is saving for your folks. So I can very quickly come here, I can attach the invoice. I also could attach all the invoices if I want. And then I can move over to just typical Copilot and I can say, write a quick note with a harsh tone that the customer needs to pay their invoices. And then Copilot will do what Copilot does. It'll draft me a nice email. I can copy it in, and then I'm on my way. So that's one of our finance agents in M365. Awesome. Let's look at a couple other delivered copilots. I'm now in project operations. So project operations is our standalone solution. It's built on the CE platform. We call it our project ops core. But this is where we have lots of customers that run projects, resource-based type projects, but also some stock. So some of our copilots that are delivered here, as I click in my projects, let's go look at this ABC company project. And as I open it up, I have 3 different copilots here. Up at the top, I could actually generate a task plan. Just by the description of the project, I can create tasks of an implementation. I also can generate status reports and even risk assessments. So as I scroll down here, you'll see that I created a couple reports for this. And if we want to look at it, you can see that the system will generates a really nice report for me. Oh, why isn't this opening? Let's see. Oh, just say edit. And it will imagine like a project manager that has all different things happening, different tasks, hundreds of tasks and lines of what's going on in the project. Well, what if you had a co-pilot that could go through and truly bring you that weekly status report with wonderful visuals? This can be edited as well, so the project manager can very quickly just go ahead and update this. Another co-pilot that I have here is one that will bring in risks. Again, looking at the overall status of the project, what are some of those risk assessments? What if we also then had an agent? Think about an agent that might be able to help with time entry. So if I click over here in my time entry form and I ask my co-pilot to log time, it's going to come up and it's going to ask me a question. It's going to say, do I want to do it for the previous week, current week, and next week? I'm going to say previous week. And you'll notice it comes back with, it knows that I am booked to QuadMed Dataverse Migration Project. And if I want to go ahead and create those entries, I can just click here, and then my agent will go ahead and create those line items for me. So just some more examples of what's also available within the dynamic solution for copilots. But let's start looking at a couple of our agents. I know I'm going fast because I really want to get to Brian, and again, we'll have time at the end for questions. The account reconciliation agent is part of D365 Finance. And as I mentioned, what this agent is doing for you, hold on a second, let's go back and let's launch this from the beginning. It's removing some of the cumbersome reports that you had to run, typically to balance your subledger to your ledger. We've delivered a new workspace for this. And also this view you're seeing right here, this is a view of our new immersive experience that's becoming very agentic led, where it's truly just bringing you those notifications that will help you get through the things you need to do immediately in your daily work. So we'll click in the account reconciliation workspace, and my agent has been running in the background for fiscal period 4. It's been running for legal entity USMF, but you can run it across multiple legal entities. And you'll see that it feels that the bank and accounts payable, they're fully reconciled, nothing to mitigate. But there do seem to be some exceptions and some issues with AR and tax. So let's go ahead and let's open up those exceptions. The first one it brings me is between the tax ledger and the GL. It's telling me that there's a difference of 2 cents. Probably rounding, I bet. So that's kind of within my tolerance. I don't really think I need to take any action on it. You could also program the agent, though, to have some thresholds. Maybe something like 2 cents, it's unmaterial, and it should just accept it. And that's what I'm going to do here. The next mitigation it brought me is between AR and GL. This one, 52 cents, but maybe because it is the AR subledger, I want to actually book that entry. My agent's very helpful. It'll create the journal entry for me. It uses parameters to find the offset account, and then I just post it. Now, as part of these agents too, we get asked all the time, what are the auditors going to think? Well, you can always track everything that the agent did. That's very important. So that's the account reconciliation agent. And again, we are delivering some new capabilities in our, I believe it's .47 version. So there's some nice there's some nice tech talks out there for what we've added for that agent. All right, let's go look at the supplier communication agent. This is also a wonderful agent, as I explained earlier, where it's meant to take some of the noise and the chaos out of your purchasing professional's daily work. So here, if I click on purchase order updates, I've got my agent set up that whenever a vendor sends an email to this address, it's going to show me a summary of the changes. So we've activated it. That agent's going to run on the cadence that I set, and it's come back to tell me I have 2 purchase orders that need to be reviewed. The first one is from Fasteners for All. And basically, it's just telling me on here that there's a few things that the vendor is wanting to change. The email will be attached here at the bottom. If I agree with what the agent is telling me, that and it can make the changes for me, I can apply all those suggestions. Now, in the second one, same thing, it read an email and there's a change detected. I'm okay with that change, but the agent's always trying to get smarter. It's also telling me that maybe I want to almost train this agent to know that confirmed quantity when coming from sport accessories equals quantity. And I want it to always recognize that. So now I've just made it smarter and more efficient. When I'm done, I just say apply all suggestions. A second element that this agent can do is follow up. What if I had an agent that could draft an email just by going out every day and looking at delayed purchase orders? It can use a certain tone, like typical Copilot capabilities. I said formal, non-urgent. And it can include a signature. So here's an example of what my agent might have come back with. It may have read for all these different vendors. So in the first one, Fasteners for All, on this PO, it noticed that it's delayed and it wants to send this email. If I agree, I can just click send and be on my way. All helping to ease the day for our procurement professionals. Awesome. All right, now I'm going to get into some of our Microsoft 365 agents. Now I'm going to show this one, the finance reconciliation agent. I'm going to show this one twice. You'll notice I'm using a click-through, but I'm going to go show this live in a moment. But I like doing the click-through first because it really isolates on the great capabilities of the agent and how it can help you with reconciliation. So in this instance, I would have connected to D365 and possibly pulled out purchasing transactions. And maybe I still have another entity that's on SAP. So I've purchased transactions in Dynamics and I've SAP sales transactions. And now it's time for me to reconcile my month end due to due from. So I'll just click here on my finance agents and you'll see I have my finance reconciliation agent. You will be able to create templates and I'm going to show you that in a moment. But basically the agent will actually kind of help me here too. When I show it live, you'll see that it knows what tables I'm going to reconcile against. So purchasing to sales. And then it's just done some key mapping. When I go to reconcile, I wanted to know vendor account in Dynamics is customer account SAP. Transaction ID in Dynamics, transaction description SAP. Document date equals date. You can even add a monetary function because that might help you again with your reconciliation. Maybe I don't care about anything that's under $1. As I mentioned, you can create templates so that you can really make this automatic, that these reports can just be, they can pull the data every month. You click intercompany reconciliation and you're on your way. There we go. And then we just click to reconcile the data. So now very quickly, it's gone through almost 300 sets of transactions, but it did find 6 that are potentially matched. So let's go look at the 6. Here you'll see on the SAP side, it has a couple transactions, the dollar amounts match, but a little difference in the description. I'm okay with that. Second one is the difference between Dynamics and SAP. There's about 8 cents in a monetary difference. That's under my threshold. Another potentially matched, 2 transactions in Dynamics to 1 in SAP, but the description matches the ID. All good. So finally, I am just left with 2 transactions that are unmatched. You'll notice too, it's created a new tab here, a reconciliation report. So this is awesome. Not sure if any of you are using the period close workspace to actually track your reconciliations, but how easy is it now to just save this file, upload it to that task. And then when your auditors come in or managers are looking at the reconciliations, there's all the data. We could also make this faster though, believe it or not. You could actually maybe use like a Power Automate flow that pulls the files and you email it to your agent. And then the agent will do the same thing every month. You can automate that entire process. Now, I said I wanted to show that live for you. And I want to do that just so you can see really how easy it is to configure the agent. So here you'll see I have the purchase invoice transactions and the sales invoice transactions. So I'll very quickly click on my finance agent. And I'm going to go ahead and use my finance reconciliation agent. So let's do that. Oops, all right, let's go back. Exit, there we go. And you'll notice the agent's already at work. It's looking at my file and it's already kind of giving me suggestions of what I should match and reconcile to. Vendor to customer, document date to date, total invoice amount to total amount. Well, those are pretty good, so I'm going to accept it. But a couple things I didn't see, if you remember from the prior one, maybe I want to go ahead and add transaction ID. And then on the SAP side, what is that? That's transaction description. So now I'm happy. Now I want to go ahead and reconcile the data. And then I would simply have to save that as my template at month end. And now my agent is fast at work and is doing exactly what you saw in the prior. Creates my reconciliation report that I can save. All right, I'm going to keep going. I really love this agent. So here I have a file. Maybe you've taken a lot of data down from other systems, even out of Dynamics, but you want to clean it up a little bit. So we have our data preparation agent. So here I have a bunch of sales invoice data. And as I click on my finance agents, I can go ahead and pull up the financial data preparation agent. The agent's also pretty helpful. It might start giving me suggestions of things and how I can clean this up. But first and foremost, what I want to do is I want to remove these 0 rows that are in sales amount and sales tax amount. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say remove all rows with 0 in sales amount and sales tax amount columns. And my agent will now go and clean that up for me. What's nice about this too is let's say this is something you do every month. Once again, you could save it as a template. Well, now if you're looking at this file too, you're probably looking at the sales tax amount file. In some cases, I have what is this, like 8 decimals. Well, I want to clean that up a bit. So I can add another instruction here. I can say change decimal place to 2 in sales tax amount column. So this will now add it to my rules that I'm creating. It's updating the plan. I say apply rules, and now I've cleaned that up. This morning, I had a customer ask me, well, what if I wanted to just really quickly put some kind of a prefix in front of something? So I could really quickly, maybe these invoices, I want to say, add prefix of SAP to invoice column. So that's just something else that I can do. These are just some probably very simple examples, but the agent is super helpful to help you clean up some of the data before you might want to also start reconciling against it or running variance analysis on it. All right, I'm going fast because I'm going to get to Brian. A couple more things to show. I'm going to show you variance analysis in that one. Again, I'm also going to show live. So the variance analysis agent is very helpful when you have a large set of data underlining some type of report you might have run. So helping you maybe to analyze a P&L. So once again, I'm going to click here on my finance agent, and I'm going to go ahead and this time choose variance analysis. Before I do that though, for today, I'm going to just load some sample data. So my story here, my day in the life, let's say I'm a financial analyst and I've been asked to review the data that's come out of our sales system, raw data, talking about what area code, what state, the market size, what was the profit, what was the margin, what was the cost of goods sold throughout the month, what are the different product types. And I've been asked first and foremost to find any negative variances that are out there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my variance analysis, and you'll notice it knows to use The two, it knows which worksheets I'm looking at. It's looking at sales versus budget and the raw data. And I'm going to give it a couple parameters. I'm going to say include market. Maybe I should spell that right. Include market and type. And then I'm just going to scroll and define the criteria. So the criteria that I've been asked is show negative variance in December. I want to analyze that. So now my agent is going through all that raw data and it's looking at the negative variance. You'll see it's come up in a purple color. Over on the right, though, if I click Analyze All, I kind of want to know really more than just the fact that it has variance, what's causing that variance. So now my agent is weeding through all that raw data to come back and bring me all kinds of amazing insights. The overview for December in Illinois, sales were down. I can see if I go through here, there's information about the cloud type, all kinds of great information. Well, what can I start doing with that? Well, I could publish it as a comment because maybe I'm going to share this file. But I also could start creating a report. So I can do all different kinds of analysis and put it all together in a report. And eventually, even too, you'll see I can generate an executive summary. But let's do one more analysis on this. Let's say I was also told to find any variances greater than 35%. So my agent's also helpful here, gives me prompts, and I'm just going to very quickly say 35%. So now it's going to go back through the data and find where I have a variance greater than 35%. And you'll see here in October in the pink. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and analyze all of that. And it'll come back now and once again, give me more details. It read all the raw data to bring me that information. Once again, if I want, I can include it in the variance report. But as I start doing all these, I probably then want to start creating this executive summary so that when I share this up with my leadership. All right, now what else could I do with some of this data? Well, if you remember when we first started, I saw some variances in December, and maybe I want to start looking at that a little bit deeper. So let's see if my executive summary just finished. There we go. And as I scroll back up, what caught my attention was this product type analysis. Financial software accounted for almost 60% of the variance. So maybe I really want to dig into that a bit more. So I'm going to go into the raw data and I'm going to filter on that product type. So I'm going to filter on the financial software. And then as I scroll down here, I can actually pull that reference and create my data source, which you'll see. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back into Copilot for Finance here. And we're going to do another analysis here on that data source. Here, let's say exit. Oops. All right. There we go. All right. So now let's go back into the variance analysis. But I'm going to change something here. You'll notice it created two new tabs when it created that pivot for me. So I want to change this to look at the variance analysis. And also I wanted to look at product type because I'm trying to analyze right here that financial software. If I then click down here, I could say select the variances. So I can just kind of highlight cell B22 and C22. And then now, once again, just confirm and run the actual analysis. And now it's going to give me more details specifically around that 60% variance that we saw. Once again, I can keep building my report. I can include it, and I could even update my executive summary. All easy peasy, just again, creating a nice report that I can just send up to leadership, but saving so much time by going through all that raw data and finding the different variance analysis that I need. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian now because he wants to talk to you about MCP. Brian, turning it over to you.
All right, thank you, Sandy. I trust everyone can hear me okay. I'm going to open up my slide. I'm sharing my screen, and I'm here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about MCP today. I hope it's a topic that you've heard of already, and if not, I think you will because it is an unbelievably fabulous functional piece of functionality that we provide. MCP it's a tool that we can incorporate in any Copilot agent. And what I'm going to talk about today is how we can use MCP to execute business process functions in your ERP system. The idea of using a Copilot Studio agent to execute business processes within Dynamics really isn't all that new. We've been doing this for a while. However, we've always had to have this middle piece here. There was always an integration layer that was going to be required. So you could create your agent. Your agent could potentially find some data or prompt for some data. And then you'd have to call this integration layer. You usually Power Platform or Power Automate, and you pass that information into Power Automate. And it was really Power Automate that would execute the business process, adding a new record, what have you, within Dynamics. Utilizing MCP, which is a tool that we can add to any Copilot Studio agent, we no longer need that middle integration layer. We can simply tell the agent to do something, and it will execute that process within Dynamics. So there is no longer an integration layer required, and that's the real exciting thing here. The possibilities are simply endless. MCP in conjunction with Dynamics was released almost a year ago. And when it was released back then, we could do maybe 13 actions. This is an old slide. This is back from like maybe November timeframe. At that point in time, we could do 500,000 transactions. As of today, we can do over 650,000 different types of actions within the ERP system. That, we can click buttons, we can open up grids, we can add new master data, we can manipulate things. All that stuff is available now via MCP. But what it means is that Dynamics 365 and MCP server, an AI agent just isn't reading the data and answering questions. It can actually perform, like I said, 650,000 native ERP actions within the system. They're the same actions that a trained human user can perform in F&O. And these aren't custom APIs. They're not brittle integrations. They're real business actions already built inside of D365. Posting, releasing, approving, updating, canceling, executed through the same business logic, security, and controls that you already trust. So when you see an agent create a purchase order, release a sales order, put a customer on credit hold, or process a return, that's not an automated bolted on, or it's not automated or bolted on in the ERP. That's the real ERP itself that's now addressable through MCP. Now, this is the real shift. Dynamics is no longer just a system of record. With MCP, it becomes a system of action, where AI can read, reason, and act across the full breadth of ERP safely, at scale, and in real time. You could think of it like this. MCP doesn't really add AI to ERP, but it unlocks the ERP you already own. So some simple examples that you can do, and I'm going to show a little bit after this, I'm going to show some prompts and some results of those prompts, but things you can do that show me open sales orders at risk due to inventory shortages or late supply. And maybe it'll provide that list, and then release the delayed purchase orders needed to cover those shortages and notify the buyer. Explain why our working capital increased this month and what transactions drove that. Which customers are over credit limit but still have open credit order or open orders. Put those customers on credit hold and draft an internal memo to internal summary for AR. Which production orders are at risk due to late materials in the next 7 days? Look at next week's production schedule. Create cycle counts in WMS to validate that I have enough raw materials on hand for next week's production. These are all things that MCP can do within Dynamics, pull that information back safely and within moments. So I'm going to go and take a look at some of this. So what I'm going to show is, I'm going to start here in Copilot Studio. This is just a shell of an agent. There's nothing, nothing that nothing crazy I put in here. The only thing I did do is I added the MCP server as a tool, and that's all there is to it. So I'm gonna do one of these prompts. I'm gonna do one of the ones that I just talked about. Look at next week's production schedule. Create cycle counts in WMS to validate that I have enough raw materials on hand for next week's production. Also, tell me anything important that I need to know. So what's taking place here, and I like this screen because this shows you everything that's going on behind the scenes. And this will take like a minute and a half or so. And what it's going to do, it's going to go and look at it's going to look at my production schedule for next week. It's going to identify the production orders. It's going to look at the raw materials in those production orders. And it's going to create cycle counts, real cycle counts within WMS. So I can run those cycle counts and validate that I have enough raw materials for next week. While Sandy was talking earlier, I did a couple of additional prompts just so I could talk about this while the other one is cooking a little bit. Another example prompt: which customers are over credit limit but still have open orders? And this is the information that it provided back. It showed me all my customers, showed the credit limit, gave me a nice report showing that information, and it also gave me some recommended actions, which is really nice. And that's so I can get the information, look at it, see it up front, and it'll provide me some recommended actions that I want to take. Another one that I created, and this is nice. This is the prompt here, and I don't know if you can read this, but it says, help me create a customer risk analysis for this customer. Look at information like customer balance, aging balance, credit limit, and credit score, and any other information you think that might be helpful for the analysis. Customer risk analysis really isn't a concept within Dynamics or any ERP system. So what MCP is doing here, it is going and figuring this stuff out on its own, and it's putting together this great report, this profile. It pulls in outstanding and aging balances, pulls in the credit utilization, order activity analyses, payment history analysis, key observations, and provides a nice little scoring analysis here as well. And then also some recommended actions. So it provides a whole bunch of additional information just by simply asking the prompt or the question. Now, this is going to be done here in a moment. I could have also, instead of saying, look at the production schedule and create cycle counts for these items in the BOMs, I could have said, look at my production schedule, identify any raw materials that I might be short on and let me see them, or provide me that list. I'm just doing everything at once because the MCP server, in conjunction with our Copilot pseudo agent, it can think. It can find information out for us and bring it back to us, and then we can decide what to do with it. So I'll let this cook for a second or two more, and we're almost done. Wow. There we go. So what this did here is it looked at my production schedule. I have, very few production orders out there. It gave me some information about those orders. It identified the BOMs. It identified the raw material in each one of those production orders. So, identified the on-hand quantity for those things, and it created cycle counts. So I can validate that that raw material is there for my production orders next week. And if I go back into Dynamics here and kind of refresh this, what I'll be able to see is the cycle counts that were just created over in 51. These are the cycle counts that were created by MCP. Now, another nice thing about WMS and MCP and how this all kind of comes together, these cycle counts, if I go and execute these within Dynamics, and if I happen to have cycle counts already out there for those items, these cycle counts will count those others out because we would have counted those items already. So that was pretty quick, pretty fast, but I hope you can see some of the functionality that is now available to us. I use this on a daily basis.
Awesome. Well, that's all the content we have prepared for today. Bill, is there any other questions? We've been answering in the chat as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk through a couple of the questions because there's some interesting thoughts. I think a couple of questions that might be good to get your thoughts. So either of you or both, how can talk about in the Microsoft environment, we've got Azure AI Foundry, we've got the technologies you just showed, a number of folks in the chat and in the questions mentioned having SAP on-prem or other instance types. So how do some of these technologies blend? Like where do we see SAP show up in some of these scenarios? Because I know we see that often. And then we'll take another question after you guys can answer that one.
Well, I'll start first part I did see in the chat. So the finance agents that I was showing, the M365 Copilot entitled Finance Agents, do work with SAP. We have out-of-box connectors to many versions of ECC as well as SAP S/4HANA. So like that Outlook agent that was pulling collection information, that can connect to SAP. Now, let's say you have Oracle or you have Workday. That's fine. You can use our Copilot Studio tool to actually customize that connector so that you could use that agent. And the same thing with the Excel-based ones that I showed, the variance analysis, the reconciliation, data preparation, those can natively, we have connectors to SAP, but you can still use those agents as well, no matter what your ERP is, if you're just, exporting data. But in the end of the day, if we haven't provided the connector, you can use Copilot Studio to connect to your systems. Brian, maybe you could give some clarity, though, about MCP and how that might work with SAP.
One example that I can come up with is that a lot of times you're looking for ways to pull data from SAP into Dynamics. And using MCP is a very effective way to manage some of that data integration work. You can, with our connectors in SAP, an agentic agent could query SAP, get the data that we're looking for, and automatically clean it up and validate it, and then automatically bring it into Dynamics for review. So I think we're seeing a lot of data validation and data transformation business processes that are significantly more enabled now using MCP.
Awesome. This question came up, and I think it comes up every time we talk about agentic stuff, is how will agents be priced in Dynamics, and what should customers plan from a licensing and cost perspective? I put the Microsoft Agent Usage Estimator in the chat. And just so everyone knows, there's multiple ways you can acquire and use this technology. There's, pay as you go, which is more consumption based. You can have it built into your contracts. We've announced some new plans. I think it's called E7 that includes some agentic stuff. But specifically product by product, the thing to be very conscious of is Dynamics Sales, Dynamics ERP, and Dynamics Service have first-party built embedded AI agents. Some of those are part of the product and just operate without any additional cost. And some of those are consumption-based simply because we're only going to have you pay for it if you're going to use it. So Sandra, Brian, which of the agents that we've talked about today or haven't that are part of the ERP platform would be ones that would require potentially additional cost?
Sandy, you're on mute. But yeah, it is somewhat.
None. The account reconciliation agent is delivered. Well, I shouldn't say none per se. As long as you have M365 Copilot, you have that. My understanding is those agents at F&O, you're not going to have to pay for any additional Copilot capability. So the finance account reconciliation agent, that's delivered first party. Supplier communication agent delivered first party. Now those finance agents I showed, again, if you have M365 Copilot, you are entitled to those agents. They are part of that licensing. You just need to enable them.
Yeah. So on the sales side, as an example, there's an agent called Sales Research Agent that automates researching leads and things like that. Not everybody's going to use it. So we basically, if you turn it on and use it, you're going to consume credits. But in this case, if you have an M365 Copilot license, you get entitlement to Copilot for sales, service, and finance. which includes all the stuff that Sandy showed today. And that's really the power of M365 is, we're trying to really meet people where they work. And the Excel tools, especially for finance pros, is like, they're incredible. Like the kind of work savings that you'll get as a finance person using those tool sets is amazing.
Yeah, and if we're just looking at the Copilot Studio agents, where I added MCP as a tool. There's really no great answer. It's really a combination of what you purchased and what your entitlements are.
Yeah. So the bottom line, like if you're in Copilot Studio and you're building your own, that does obviously cost something if it gets used. But if you have an M365 license for Copilot and it's an internal use case, you don't pay anything for it. So we're trying to drive home that M365 is a great place to do work. You get a lot of capabilities there, and that if you need to extend or customize things, you can. And then those things will only cost if they're used. So really the value is get something valid set up so people actually want to use it, and then you'll start to see some real big benefit. Next question is, where do you guys see this heading? I always like to ask that more in terms of like looking forward, like this stuff is really exciting and there's been so much capabilities added over the last year or two, but what do we hope for in the next 6 to 12 months, which in the AI world is like 5 years, but what do we expect?
I'll jump in first and I'll leave it to Brian. First and foremost, again, as I started today, I mentioned we have a lot of chatter and a lot of customers asking, well, I'm not going to need an ERP anymore. Yes, you do. You still need a CRM. You still need the data. These agents can't work without that. And there's also business logic and business rules. So we're still continuing to do a lot of innovation just in our core business applications of Dynamics. Where the agents are going to take us is really to just a whole new UI, just a different way to interact. And our goal, my understanding from product engineering, is that we want our users to not have to move around a lot, right? To not have to change applications, to maybe just be in one place. And like how Brian was showing with MCP, I know we are, it's going to be coming out where it's going to work better with the Copilot sidecar within Dynamics. So you can interact with the MCP right there. So the goal is to just help you all be more productive, have a solid, maybe single UI, so you're not moving all over the place all day long. Brian, you have something else to add?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you start to grasp the capabilities of AI, Copilot Studios, and MCP in an ERP system like ours, you start realizing very quickly that we're going to make things. People are going to be way more efficient. They're going to be able to see better data faster. We're going to be able to automate business processes like never before. And again, it's kind of the impossible dream of getting better data faster, making it easier for employees or people to use our systems. And then, another thing that on a different note is anytime any customer or anyone adopts a new ERP system or any application, it takes a long time for that person to become an expert user. With these tools incorporated like an MCP and these agents, we can make people almost expert users within days. And it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, when this first started, I thought to myself, man, what if I could hit the Windows key on my machine and a search prompt box, or now we have the Copilot key. What if I could hit that and say, what's the status of order 1, 2, 3, 4? Like without having to swivel chair. So to your point, like we're trying to bring people to the same place. Somebody asked about where can we find these and how do we activate and deploy them. On our Learn site, there is a welcome to finance agents page, and then there's an install guide for both the financial reconciliation and variance analysis agents. Depending on how you're set up, there might be different options, like the admin deployed option would be centrally distributed versus this instruction. So some of that depends on your IT setup, but this should be the central place you can go to get to all of this. If you're struggling or not figuring out how to enable or turn this stuff on, I would say reach out to your account team and make sure, then they'll be able to help you get up and running, or if you have contacts in our customer success team as well. Or you can scan this QR code and we'll have somebody follow up, because what this ends up doing is captures your info so that one of us can get somebody on the phone with you for assistance. And if you want to look back on the Master Series and see historical sessions that we've done in ERP, finance, and beyond, you can go ahead and go to the site that you see on the screen there, and that'll bring you to all of our recordings. Really appreciate everybody's time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Inside Action Innovate, the Master Series.